Good Friday afternoon, evening, wherever you may be. Thanks for joining us live. How you doing, Victor?
Still alive.
Well, I'm going to argue that point here real quick. Hang on a second. Come on. Why is it not going? That's what you're headed towards.
Wait, what's that? Detroit. Is it Fahrenheit?
No. This is
Celsius.
This is Celsius. I'm giving you Celsius.
That's warm.
Are you okay with these?
That's warm. That's good.
Okay.
That's perfect. But that cannot be.
Well, but then it gets a little colder towards the end of the week.
That's fantastic. I thought it would be like freezing point.
Like 0 the whole time. Yeah, no, it's not. It was
Well,
this weekend.
That's cool.
Okay, so you're okay
So I
with
don't
this?
need 17 feathers. Okay, cool.
No, just 14.
Okay, that's improvement.
Okay. All right. I figured I'd let you know what you were coming into.
Tomorrow, man.
Are you ready for it?
No.
Of course not.
I'm 50% there, more or less.
Okay. Hi, by the way. My name's Darren. This over here is Victor. And we're the co-host of a podcast called DevOps Paradox. And on Fridays, most Fridays, we do this live stream, talking about the things of the week, news, and other things we ran into. And I'm just trying to get Victor ready for his trip to the U.S.
Yeah.
It was cold last week. In fact, it was colder where I live, 12 hours south of Detroit today than it was in... I was 5 degrees colder here than Detroit.
Well...
So I'll put it this way. This morning I was in 4 layers, t-shirt, sweatshirt, hoodie, jacket, gloves, if you want to put that gloves in there. And at
outside.
noon, outside, yeah.
Okay.
It was 30 or so -1. And then right now I'm in t-shirt and shorts, and it's probably, I think it was close to 70. So almost 40 degrees difference.
I have a more elegant solution to that problem. Just don't go out.
I can't do that. I have to go out. But it's fine.
Does it count if you go out by calling Uber and just running from your door to Uber? No.
No. Doesn't count. Does not count. So let's go back here, because tomorrow, by the way, I got this a little out of order. The nominations for the DevOps Dozen close tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern. So if you haven't nominated us yet, so it's not voting yet. Voting starts in November. We're just trying to get on the ballot. So if you would do us a favor, nominate us for up to 3. I forgot to put the 4th one on there, but that's okay. So one's obviously for the podcast. The second one is for Victor to be the top DevOps evangelist. And finally, our sister channel, DevOps Toolkit, for the best video series. So we would appreciate your nomination. We'll see how that goes, right?
Let's see. I'm pretty confident that one of those is going to enter the ballot. Now, winning, that's a different thing.
Different conversation. We're just trying to get on the ballot right now. That's it. It's like, if we got on the ballot this year, I still consider that a win.
Exactly. That's much more than last year.
Yes. Because we waited too late until we found out, and we missed trying to get on the ballot. Ingen, good to see you. Sebastian, you as well. Thanks for being here with us live today. We do have a question we'll get to in a few minutes. I want to get into some of the things of the week, if I get on the right screen. There we go. So this week's podcast was with Ruben from Kubevious. And we were talking about monitoring with Kubevious. Kubevious, nice open source project, along with another product built around it. So
it's a different approach. I like it.
You like things that are different.
I like projects that do not try to reproduce the same thing that everybody else did it dozens of times, but comes up with something different. Now, whether it's good or bad, that's a separate discussion, generally speaking. But I love the idea. I'm starting a project because I have a different approach to the problem.
You got to start somewhere, and sometimes different is good. Now, podcast comes out on Wednesdays at 6 a.m. Eastern, noon CET. That will still be happening next week. We'll talk about things that aren't happening next week a little bit later. Now, something that I had no clue about. cert-manager has now graduated, if you will, to incubating. Can you say we graduated to graduate? No, we went from sandbox to incubating.
Yeah, you moved from primary to secondary school.
Secondary school. Now, the question is, why is it taking so long for cert-manager to move from sandbox to incubating?
I don't know. How long was it in sandbox?
A long time, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought it kind of not long ago entered.
Okay. Maybe I'm off. My timing, I mean, look, last 2 years plus 2.5 years, time doesn't exist anymore. Let's see if it was... Nope. Anyway. So cert-manager is now incubating. But here's an interesting one. KO is trying to get in a sandbox.
Nice.
You've used KO before, right?
But not extensively, but yeah.
So it's trying to come in a sandbox. Now, here's the question. Is it going to get fast-tracked? It's a joke. No, it won't get fast-tracked. But anyway, so that's been submitted as well. So, and I imagine we're going to be seeing a lot more announcements coming out next week around KubeCon. Have you noticed there's been quite a few announcements this week already?
Can you repeat that?
Have you noticed that there's been a lot of announcements already this week?
No, I haven't.
No.
No?
I guess you've been getting ready to leave then. There's been a lot of announcements this week.
I've been very kind of in a separate dimension, trying to figure out how to do everything I need to do before I leave. And I didn't.
That's okay. You'll figure it out. You still have 12 hours, right?
And then don't forget the flight.
Well, I'm saying 12 hours to get to... I mean, you're probably going to be at the airport in 12 hours, right?
Yeah, in 12 hours. And then I have like, I don't know, some number of hours in a flight itself.
That's true. And you're direct to Chicago, right?
Chicago, Detroit, yeah.
Yeah. Easy flight. Our friends at Styra announced this is part of those announcements that I saw coming out. Bundle management features. And I had to scratch my head. Now, Styra are the guys around OPA.
Exactly.
So it's all about supply chain. Now, there was an announcement that Google made yesterday about something they're open sourcing. I didn't include it in today's show just because I didn't. Because to me, it's still more idea than anything else. So we'll talk about it once it becomes a little more than idea. But with this, now we're seeing supply chain coming up more and more and more. Everything's supply chain related.
That's a new buzzword for this year and the next.
But it should have been all along.
I'm still fuzzy about what supply chain is, but it takes time for my brain to figure it out.
Well, it's actually pretty simple. What are the raw materials that you use to build your finished product? That's supply chain, right? So it's all
essentially SBOMs.
Yeah, that's one implementation. Yes, that's the favorite implementation. By the way, if I drop out, it's not my internet. I am tethered already because during the countdown, my internet went out hard. It hasn't come back yet. I'm still watching it. That might be the other reason to move, just so I get better internet. But anyway, some bundle management features. Bundle promotion, which is actually a pretty smart idea, just in concept. I mean, if you think about bundling things, it's nice when things are bundled together. Unless you're a cable company, and then the bundling is not so good.
So here's the question. You said move internet. If you would be buying a house today, would that be internet be criteria?
It always has been. It has been for me for the past 20 years. So that eliminates a lot of the places I would like to move to. That's the problem. Of course, if Starlink actually works out, then Starlink might still be an option. Different conversation. Delta bundles, bundle registry. Again, if you're using Styra today or anything around this space, take a look at it. I think these were their pre-announcements. I would not be surprised if there's more announcements next week at KubeCon.
No, there will definitely be much more announcements. I think that, it makes certain sense to announce things before KubeCon, because when the KubeCon starts, then your announcements are likely going to be, missed in the sea of announcements. So some company, if I would be a company, I would be actually shipping announcements before KubeCon.
Because that way, people can just come to you at the booth. It's like, hey, I saw this last week. What's it about?
Yeah, exactly.
So that's that one. Another one that was early, and this is interesting. I don't know how to pronounce it. So
I don't know.
I don't know if it has the E on it or if it's just Myrrh. I don't know. I should have asked. But it makes monitoring of Kubernetes easier. It's all based around eBPF. Ground cover is eBPF things, but it's lightweight. I mean, think about it. How lightweight is Prometheus?
Empty Prometheus is relatively lightweight.
Usable Prometheus.
Yeah. But then it's hard to compare, right? Because here we're talking about CPU and memory, if I understood right. I haven't used it yet. And Prometheus, we're talking about anything.
Exactly. So the way I look at this, and this is being a very rough analogy, is this is the Kyverno to OPA, right? This is like this built specifically for, of course, Prometheus was built for Kubernetes too, but this is really hyper focused on this thing.
Nice.
So that's from our friends at Ground Cover. I'm going to call it Myrrh. I don't know. Is it Myrrh?
I don't know. Let's go with Myrrh.
Myrrh. And then we can be corrected later, right? Martin,
Exactly.
good to see you.
Hey.
The Netherlands, people are still awake. Wait, I guess it's not that late, right? It's 7 o'clock?
Nah, it's 7 o'clock. It's okay.
For the people in Europe, time changes this weekend in a lot of places, but not in the US. It's another week or 2 weeks in the US. So all those calendar invites you have for the next couple of weeks, if you're talking with people in the US, things are going to be off.
Yeah, I'm guessing that Google handles those things, so maybe it does.
It does. But just so you don't assume that because, hey, we always schedule it at this time of day. Right?
Oh,
so
yeah.
You'll have already fallen back. We're still ahead, so it'll still be okay. It's the other direction. It's the spring that's worse. Because you spring ahead and we don't. So you think, oh yeah, we always meet at this time, but it's an hour earlier. It's fine. I read this post today and I had to laugh, but I figured we have enough people on here that use GitHub and might be administrating GitHub. This is a really great article. I agree with Sebastian. UTC all the things. Oh, you know what? You're right. It is on the 30th. It's next weekend. Sorry. Everything's. But so Europe is next week. Is next weekend. I got confused because it was the 20th. I was thinking 28th, but yes.
But yeah, imagine how more convenient it would be in this globalized, interconnected world if it had all adopted UTC and stopped this madness with time zones. That would be absolutely bloody amazing.
Well, the problem with that is, what do you do if you actually want to be awake during the daylight hours? It doesn't matter, right?
Daylight hours are.
It just depends on where you are, right?
Exactly. It's just that we got used to the daylight hours and that around 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock p.m., right? It's just that we got used to it, but it could have been midnight or, right?
Yeah, you're right. It's just weird. Because what happens when you... Well, it doesn't matter. Let's not go down the time trap today, because GitHub. This is harder, I think, than UTC. Securing a GitHub organization is a lot harder than UTC. So anyway, this guy gets into a lot of... He first talks about, hey, let's do GitSecOps. And it's like, oh, wait, somebody's already taken that term. But it was talking about finding secrets and talking about some of the tools there. And then getting into doing this, enforcing PGP signing of commits. That's a good idea. Abandoning forked libraries. All these things. This is a great primer, or primer, depending on how you say it, of how you should be securing your GitHub repos and potentially organizations. It's not real long.
Nice.
It's short. It's short. But then he talks about, how you can have email addresses leak, which is a bad thing. But fortunately, it's not email address and name and everything else. But if you know the email address, and you probably already know the name. Okay. China only has one time. But see, China isn't super wide. Or maybe it is.
I would say it's wider than some parts of US.
But it's not as wide as the US.
I mean, north or south.
No, I'm talking about width, not north and south. I'm talking about width.
Yeah, but width is not uniform. US is not like this. It's like this, right?
Yeah, but the time... Let's not talk about time zones anymore. Karen, good to see you. Anyway, this post about GitHub I thought was really interesting. Not super long, but it made me think, it's like, oh, wait, have I done that on my personal org or not? And so I'm going back through and just double checking things. If nothing else, it's a reminder to do things.
Yeah, exactly.
Myrrh. Have you seen all the rambling about Myrrh over the past couple of days? Probably not.
No, I didn't.
Okay.
What is it?
So this is something that's probably going to be on your list, would be my guess. So it's the first stable version. That's the only reason why it sort of popped up to me, even though it's a 3.0 and it's the first stable version. It allows you, here, let's just get down to here, a new development workflow, the cornerstone of a new development workflow.
Mm-hmm.
Shorter feedback loops, as developers would like shorter feedback loops. So here's what it does. Where is it? I lost it. Okay. Where was it? There was a short one-liner here. It connects everything from network traffic to file access to environment variables, but it's running locally. So if you're developing a microservice, that will run on your machine, but your Myrrh has connected out to the cluster and it's routing it to you.
Got it. Yeah. Nice. Yeah. So kind of how to bridge the gap between something local, something remote.
Correct.
Nice.
Takes about 10 seconds to install and a lifetime to master and maintain. I don't know. But anyway, that's Myrrh. I've seen this posted everywhere this week. This has been a big one. So
yeah, I'm kind of embarrassed now. How can I not know about something that reached version 3? Unless they're faking it. Usually when I see version 3, I'm thinking, okay, that's like already around for 10 years.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know how
Yeah,
both of us have missed it. Right?
Hey, what can you do? But yeah, going back to Engin's comment, sounds like telepresence, yeah.
But maybe, again, it might be focused, whereas telepresence does a lot more stuff, right?
Yeah. And I think it's not really focused on Kubernetes. That always felt a bit awkward in telepresence.
Right. So anyway, that's Myrrh. Okay, we're getting through these really fast today, but that's okay because you still need to write some stuff.
That's okay.
So we've seen other tools like this, searching and cleaning up unused AWS access keys. So it's just a little tool that you can run and find tools, and there's the output. It's too bad he left.
Okay.
Right, so I can run it against, I look for, in this case, last used 90 days ago, It's like, do you have any credentials that you've never rotated the key on?
No, but for reasons that you probably would not guess. Because, whenever I do something, I download the keys in a file in my Git repo, and I have Git ignore that those things will not be pushed. But every once in a while, I forget to put Git ignore, and I push my credentials to Git, and then I get email from AWS saying how I did something horrible, and I need to remove all my credentials. So AWS is forcing me to remove them, not expiry date.
Got it. Well, that's a good way to force rotation is just keep checking them in. So, okay. Anyway, I thought this was we've seen other tools like this. I can't remember the names. I tried to find them and just couldn't find it. But just another one.
Nice.
The thing I did like about this one though was the output here, because it made it really clear. Because I don't remember any other tools doing it this way.
I think you see it in. AWS console, right?
You can. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But. And I can't remember if it has
a terminal for everything, man.
I know. That's the way. So this is called technically, what is it called? The cleanup-aws-access-keys.
There we go.
Nice long name. Unlike the next one, which is a short name called Metlow. And it's for API security. Create an inventory of all your endpoints. Testing all your APIs before they go to production. That's always a good idea, right?
Unless you want to get fired.
Which leads us to the third point, detecting API attacks in real time, because that will get you fired unless you've done your work ahead. So
that's very nice. The last one, I like it. It.
Yep. So it's obviously open source. I think they've also got a product based around it. It's MIT licensed, so have a nice day with that. But you can watch things happen in real time. So I thought this was cool. If you combine this with our next one, which is called Kyota. Yeah. This is from Microsoft. Are we saying something nice about Microsoft right now? Be fair warned, we might be. So Kyota allows you to generate an API client of differing languages against any open API spec.
Nice. So it's mostly for coding, right?
Yes.
Create some kind of a library, I'm guessing. Nice.
Correct. But if you think about it though, if you've created your open API, you don't want people creating their own clients. You as a vendor want to provide, here's your Node client, here's your Java client, here's your Go client, this will allow you to do all that. This does make a lot of
exactly. So kind of it allows me. So that's one of the things that was annoying me always is I need to look for SDK for client for any API, third-party API that I connect to from my application, right? And if I understood right, I haven't tried it yet. This allows me to skip all that nonsense and just point to the API. It generates the code, the library, what's or not, and that's about it.
Correct. If you as a consumer of the API, let's say the vendor is behind generating the clients, right? They don't have a nice pipeline in place to just, here's the new API, like they publish the new API spec, or open API spec, I should say, and they don't automatically generate it as a whole, right? They're not there
exactly.
yet. Now, I, as a consumer, can now just generate it myself as well,
exactly.
if I needed to. So, thumbs up for Microsoft. Man, that just feels wrong coming out of my mouth.
No, but Microsoft is doing a lot of great things. I still have that part of my brain that knows Microsoft from before, but Microsoft is not as evil as or not evil anymore.
Not evil.
Was.
Okay.
Basically, especially since they purchased GitHub. I mean, there was a panic, right? Everybody was panicking. Microsoft buying GitHub, but GitHub is flourishing. I mean, amazing things are coming out of it. I'm really impressed.
So that is Kyota. Let's look at this next one. Oh, this is the one you sent me earlier in the week, Helm Dashboard.
Yeah.
From Who's this from? I forgot.
From Commodore.
Commodore. You're right.
Yeah.
So tell me about this.
Yeah, it's a Helm dashboard. It's not special. On a first look, it doesn't look special because, hey, you can see the Helm charts that you installed. You can install a Helm chart, all those things. I've seen it many times before. But it has a really, really cool thing. And that's that. I don't have a demo, unfortunately. I don't think that there is a screenshot. But when you... So here's what happened. I was playing with it, and I go there to edit a chart that is running in my cluster. And I expected that it will, give me a field that I can edit stuff. And it gave me one big field. I can change the values. Cool. Everybody does that. And then comes what I really liked. It shows me how will those changes affect the underlying resources. Not what is the difference between two versions of Helm chart, but how will those changes apply to whatever the underlying resources are. So some kind of Terraform plan or something like that. Really nice.
Cool.
Yeah, if you look at that, I think that upgrade lock here, right? So no, that's not the one.
Okay.
That's not the one. Anyways, I got hooked into that feature, Terraform plan-like feature of really cool.
Okay. So that's Helm Dashboard from Commodore. Okay, let's see. What else? Oh, I'm sorry. I had to bring this one in. I'll apologize in advance. We don't talk about PHP much, sort of on purpose.
What is PHP? Sounds like a chemical reaction.
Yeah. Well, this chemical reaction is we have FrankenPHP.
Okay.
Read the subtitle. The modern PHP app server written in Go.
Okay, that's original.
I'm just saying, because I've got a friend that does PHP on pretty much everything. Not WordPress, he just uses PHP. But this appears to be released by the people that are behind Symfony, which is a PHP framework, much like Laravel or some of the others. So Creative API Platform and Symfony Core, or Symfony Core. So it's not from Symfony, but somebody that does stuff with Symfony. Why in the heck do you want to be running? Well, they explain why. Right? It has a production grade web server built in on Caddy. So this is a framework that's going to be making it possible for you to run your PHP apps in a more hardened way. So worker node, easy deploy. There's only one service. Look, if you ever dealt with PHP at all and you have to add in all the modules, miserable. One service.
I remember.
So, but I still had to laugh because it's an elephant looking like Frankenstein's monster. I was like, okay, at least had to talk about it, at least with a little bit of respect. So they give it some ideas. And then, what's the last? Oh, this one. hiSHtory. Better shell history.
Okay.
hiSHtory.
Okay.
Just think you're drunk. I think that's how you're slurring your words. So if you can see, I'm not going to be able to get there. The image shows it. So right now it's typing in find. That's in the top window. And once it finishes, then look below. He types his history query, and it shows when those were all ran and from where.
Okay.
That's better than just a base history, which doesn't give you time or anything else. Okay, this is funny.
Nice.
So we'll go back to Franken here for a minute. Cannot get the sample up and running. Try that. Well, I mean, it is a monster. But yes, Sean Connery could say this perfectly. Look, we need to get an AI for Sean Connery. I mean, if James Earl Jones has an AI, we need something for Sean Connery. It would be great. But anyway, this is hiSHtory. And here. You went back to KubeVirt? Again?
Heck?
I thought you've already done KubeVirt before.
No, I never did. No.
Really?
Wait! Don't scare me now, because it happens to me. I'm forgetful. I'm old. KubeVirt. No, I haven't done it before. No.
What am I? Oh, you know what I'm doing? I'm thinking vCluster. Sorry.
vCluster,
I'm thinking vCluster. My fault.
Yeah.
So why in the heck do I want to run VMs inside of
Why
a
do you
Kubernetes
want
cluster?
to use Kubernetes?
Why do I run? I don't want to use Kubernetes.
Okay, then you shouldn't run KubeVirt. What I'm trying to say is that my answer to KubeVirt and many other similar projects is that whatever your reasons are for using Kubernetes API and scheduler and what's not for containers, those reasons equally apply to other stuff that are not containers, right? Now, whether you want to use Kubernetes or not, that's a different story. But if you see advantages in Kubernetes, those same advantages are equally applicable to other stuff, not containers. It's as simple as that.
Okay.
So it's kind of like everybody can answer by themselves. And the answer can be don't give me that Kubernetes nonsense, which is perfectly valid.
So what does KubeVirt actually do? It's sort of VMware ESX, right? Conceptually?
Yeah, so conceptually, it's basically a way to run to manage virtual machines, right? So you have Kubernetes. You write the Kubernetes manifest. You apply it to the cluster. You do kubectl get this, get that, apply, update, delete. You have a scheduler that if a VM goes down, it can, if you choose to do so, it can recreate it. All the typical stuff that you do with Kubernetes for containers and other types of resources applicable to VMs. So in this context, think of Kubernetes as a control plane rather than that happens to, among other things, manage virtual machines.
Which is what we've talked about, the power of Kubernetes really being long-term.
Exactly. And I happen to be lately focused on what else can you do with Kubernetes beyond containers. Containers are getting boring, man.
They have been boring. Let's try to answer this question from Sebastian. Does it only make sense for bare metal?
I'm not sure whether I would use the word only, but it definitely makes much more sense for bare metal than VMs, right? Because do you really want to create a virtual machine virtual machines inside of a virtual machine? I wouldn't go that far, right? But if you have so the same thing, like, think of this as replacement for VS. What's the? Then help me out here. VMware technology, VS.
ESX.
There you go.
Yeah.
ESX, right? So it's replacement for that. It creates virtual machines, and you want to run virtual machines on bare metal. As easy as that.
Doesn't mean you couldn't try it out on virtuals.
So in the demo, I ran it on top of a virtual machine, right? So
yeah,
because I used cloud. Now there's another thing that I'm not sure that I would use KubeVirt in cloud, because if I'm already cloud, DigitalOcean, AWS, Azure, Google, whatever I am, I'm not convinced that why would I manage virtual machines like that instead of using managed virtual machines, EC2 or whatever. But if we're on-prem, then to me if we're on-prem, then it makes a lot of sense. Bare metal, of course, if it's on-prem, you have bare metal. There is absolutely no doubt about that, right? Otherwise, it wouldn't be on-prem.
Okay. That was the last one. I want to go back to the question that was asked at the top that I wanted to give Tanya an answer on.
Oh.
Give some tips of contribution to open source for DevOps. Do we contribute to the Go language only in DevOps, or are there any other methods?
I'm not sure I got the question. Is the question whether all DevOps is in Go or all Go projects are DevOps related?
I don't think it's either one of those.
It's neither.
Yeah. So I think I'm going to phrase it the way I'm understanding it. And that's, if we're doing any kind of projects that are in the DevOps space, should it only be in Go? No, there's no reason to, right? Go is just a language. I mean,
let's put it this way: most of DevOps stuff is written in Bash. I guarantee that 100%.
Yeah. But let's flip to the other side. So most of HashiCorp stuff is written in Go. And most of the tooling coming out of HashiCorp, again, Vagrant is moving to Go as well. Not there yet. I mean, there's the beta out for it, but it's not there yet. So if you're writing tools, if you're writing CLIs, then Go makes sense because there's no runtime that you have to ship with it. It's compiled and gone, if you will. Right?
Exactly.
But I can say the same thing with Java. I have to do it a little bit differently, but I can create a native binary from Java. I can.
So
it's not perfect, but it works.
The choice of language, I'm going to exclude the case where you're simply used to certain language and you want to use that language, and to me that's perfectly valid, right? Now, if I exclude that, what makes one language more appealing than the other is very often related to the ecosystem, right? So you want to use Python if you're data engineering of some sorts, right? Because most of the number of libraries and support you're going to get for Python, for big data or machine learning is higher than for other languages. Similar thing goes for Go, right? And I can say similar things for Java and what's not, right? Go happens to be the choice for many that are close to the system, right? Especially in Kubernetes world. Not necessarily that Go is better or worse in this case than other languages. But one thing I would say is that I would ignore the word DevOps. I get this question often, kind of, which open source I should contribute to? And the answer to me is very simple. Pick a tool you like. Something that you really, really like. Unless you want to start a new project, right? If you want to contribute to an existing, pick something that you like, that you're familiar. It's extremely important to be familiar with the tool you want to contribute to. And when I say familiar in this case, I'm not talking necessarily about the code of that tool, right? But I'm using this. I know how it works. And that's already, with that, I'm already halfway through, right?
Well, I think the thing with that is if you're in a company that's using that open source project and that company isn't even chipping in $20 a year to use it, then your time is worth more than $20 probably, even if you spend an hour on it. So even if it means cleaning up documentation, or it doesn't have to be code, that's the key part to that, because documentation, I think, is, dare I say it, more important than the code.
Or it doesn't even have to be anything that is pushable to the repo. Just opening an issue. I argue often with people kind of like, oh, this doesn't work, whatever. Did you open an issue? Or look for an issue and then add additional information? No. So how do you expect it to be fixed? Maybe others do not know about that something, right? So even no contribution, direct contribution, but just opening issues. And that issue doesn't have to be a bug. It could be, hey, I do not like this. Or, hey, I think that this could be nicer if it's like this. Any type of...
Right. This isn't clear. How, what may be clear to an engineer, by the way, most of the time it's clear to the engineer, but it's not clear to any other normal human. That's the problem. So I think what you're saying is correct. Pick a tool that you either are A, interested in, or B, that you're using and are familiar with.
Exactly.
And then if you've gone onto the site, it's like, hey, there's some misspellings here. Great, put in a PR for that. That'll help out. Open up issues. I think that's a key one too. Even if you don't want to go the step of even putting in a PR for a doc, opening in an issue of a problem that you're having or I don't understand, because that I don't understand becomes now something that will feed documentation or should feed documentation. So.
The one huge advantage, if you want to contribute code, huge advantage of contributing to documentation first is that if you do it right, you will go through the code as part of clarifying, helping to documentation, right? It could be a way to get familiar with the code base.
That's how I got started in the Jenkins project. Other than being part of the day job, it's like just going through, okay, wait, the docs say this, but I go and look at the code and it does this. It's not adding up. And then
Exactly.
was finally able to reconcile it. So, okay. Next week, we are not going to be here. Because Victor
I know,
is...
I'm not going to be here. I'm going to be in Detroit.
Well, right. But we're not going to be doing the live stream next week.
Okay.
Because that's the last day, number one. So hopefully, and usually this would be towards lunchtime of that time. So it's like people will be coming by the booths to get in the one last thing, or there's probably this time of the day is when all the giveaways are going to be happening from the booths. So more than likely, you're not going to be available.
I appreciate it because this would mean that I would need to get up early, right?
No, that's the thing. This
To
is...
do this, I would need to get up before noon, right?
No, it'd be 1 p.m.
1 p.m. Okay.
Yeah, because Detroit's in the same time zone that I'm in.
Yeah, is it New York same, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Detroit's just on the far western edge of the Eastern time zone.
Okay.
Almost central.
Nice.
But yes, no, I would not make you get up before noon. I wouldn't do that. I know better.
You know me too well.
I do you better. So anyway, we will not be here next Friday. We'll be back the next Friday. But anyway, next week, Victor will still have a video, I think. Help me.
Yeah,
on Monday.
Probably.
We still have one on Monday.
I hope so. I'm waiting for the editor to come back with it. Yeah. Mickey, if you're watching, and I know that you're not because you have no idea what we're talking about, I need that video.
And we'll hear a ding in a few moments and the video is showing up. Podcast comes out on Wednesday, but again, we're not going to be here next Friday. This is interesting. Can we get some DevOps Paradox swag? What kind of swag would you want?
I was actually thinking about making a couple of cool swags, putting it in some store without really, with the price, whatever they charge for it, kind of without any intention to earn anything. I'm thinking about it, but you see the designers and editors, they cannot come up even with the video on time. I don't know how. And I'm not designing anything. I know I'm aware of my limitations.
Wait, so let's do this. You see this website? That's me tweaking a theme. And it's horrible, right? That's not what we do. It's not what we do. But yeah, so t-shirts could be interesting. I just don't know what we put on it.
No, because I want to make a t-shirt that says, what was the phrase? Fuck, I forgot. Oh, I said the word right.
You did. This is YouTube. I mean, it's not the first time that's happened.
I even forgot what is the phrase I wanted to put on a t-shirt, but anyways, it will come back for the next time.
And Ari's reminding here, maybe if we win the 3 prizes, that goes back to this. If you haven't nominated us yet, this will be the last time we talk about nominations because it's over tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern. So basically, was it now almost 27 hours from now is when it shuts down for nominations. So if you haven't nominated us, we'd appreciate it. This would be funny. Just a shirt with your face. Would that work? It'd be like sort of like the Joker, right? It'd be like Joker. Wait, you have a Joker, right? You got
Do you remember potentially the last DevOps World we were together? I misunderstood the party that I misunderstood. I thought that we should all come dressed up.
I'd forgotten about that. Yeah, and you came in as Joker.
Wait,
I mean, you were. Do you have a picture of that?
I came
anywhere?
as a Joker, like a real Joker. Yeah.
It was bright purple. He had done the makeup.
Yeah. Oh, here.
Do you have it?
Okay, let me give you the link.
Okay.
If I find out how to do that. Okay.
Oh, here's something.
Link.
This is a variation. Half Victor, half Darren. DevOps at the top and Paradox at the bottom. That would be weird.
Okay, this is
but it's actually cool.
My proudest photo that I have. Here, I sent it to you on Slack.
On Slack? Okay. All right, so let me load it up here.
I was the only one who brought the costume apart from paid actors. I had no idea.
Okay, there we go. I had completely forgotten about this. There it is. Let me zoom in.
There I am. Yes.
Whoops, I'm in the wrong one. Here, let me do this. Oh, it's not zooming. Anyway. Where was this? Was this, I guess this had to be San Francisco.
Probably, yeah.
I can't tell. Let's see. I was trying to read the date off there, and yes, a Corona in hand. Yes, this was Batman. Yeah, there was nobody else that wore. That was the superhero.
Yeah, he was a
theme
paid
year.
actor, kind of like,
Yeah.
or whatever. Exactly.
That was the superhero year. I can't remember. I think it was 2018. I think it was 18. I don't remember anymore.
I'm not
Okay,
going to
anyway.
fall for that one again.
No. Well, at least you went out for it. You went whole hog on that. So that was impressive. I could not have done that. But anyway. So again, Victor is going to be at KubeCon next week. But here's the thing. We are recording a podcast Friday evening after he's in between the booth closing and him going to the final parties. Or the first of the final parties, I guess is the better way to say it. So that way, the Wednesday after, so not this coming Wednesday, but the Wednesday after KubeCon, there will be an episode about Victor's thoughts of KubeCon. Which, by the way, Victor, that means you have to pay attention to what's going on at KubeCon. That's your homework.
Oh, you're changing the rules of the game.
No, I'm just giving you the rules, period. I'm not changing them. Anyway.
I will.
Okay. So anyway, that's I think that's going to be it for today because Victor still has to pack because I know you haven't packed yet. But you don't have to take 17 sweaters, only 14. So you're good.
No, you know what? One of the big reasons why I hate traveling to the cold places. You
Why?
cannot bring the carry-on suitcase.
What do
I
you
mean,
mean?
if it's cold, kind of like you put 2 sweaters and that's the whole
And it's
suitcase
full.
already.
Right.
Exactly.
You have to check at that point. Right. I get it.
Yeah.
But see, I'm an
hate
oddball.
checking in.
I check my bags all the time. I hate carrying bags through the airport. I'm a weird one.
Yeah.
I've only had a bag go sideways once, and it wasn't due to the airline. And it was in
Yeah,
Chicago.
to me, it's not because it might get lost or sideways. It's 2 reasons. First, because I hate you finally arrive and then you cannot go out of the airport. You need to wait for the suitcase. I hate that part. And more importantly, like for example, now I'm going to Chicago, right? What does that mean? Is that my suitcase is not going to Detroit
Correct. You have to go and claim it first.
and
And
check it in
then-
again.
Right. So in that case, it's not worth it. I agree. In that one specific case, it does make sense. Especially for a reasonably short flight.
What is very likely I will do is buy the stuff at the airport.
You
That's my
could.
shopping destination.
Well, so Chicago isn't that great. And Detroit is even less. Don't plan on buying anything at the Detroit airport because they're
Is it a tiny?
it's
I mean, the airport.
It's not a tiny airport.
When I land.
It's a fine airport. In fact, well, here's the thing though: is I believe at Detroit has a separate terminal for international than the domestics. So you'd be flying into the domestic because you're connecting from. Are you going back out through Chicago?
I have no. I mean, yeah,
Probably,
no, I
probably.
have no idea.
But you are connecting out before you're not going directly from Detroit back to Spain. You're connecting
No.
somewhere. Okay.
Most likely, no.
So the Detroit airport is basically one long terminal. And that's it. And there's nothing there. There's barely any food there.
It was. I don't know whether it was a joke or seriously. I got invitation to some parties, and one of them had instructions. This is the destination.
Mm-hmm.
Do not attempt under any circumstances to walk to that destination.
That's
Take
truth.
an Uber.
Yes.
Okay, but it cannot be that bad, right?
Downtown Detroit, yes, it can be that bad. Especially
Okay.
if I'm thinking about, if somebody's saying do not walk it, do not walk it. It can be that bad. Think San Francisco, like where we typically are, right? Down by the Metreon and all, that part of San Francisco. Except people are running around with guns. right? Instead of stepping over human feces and stepping away from syringes, you actually have people trying to come after you.
So you exchange drugs for guns. Okay.
That's one way to think about it.
Okay, I'm taking Uber.
It's not everywhere, but if somebody's saying do not under any circumstances walk it, heed that advice. By the way, be sure to take your mask because masks are required.
Yeah, and I still need to go out and buy them. Well, that I can buy at the airport. Okay. Yeah. So in other words, what you're telling me is that unlike Valencia, there will be no bar hopping.
Right. Or as Sebastian said, in Valencia, we just bike to the party.
Exactly.
What's a must-eat in Detroit? You have to try the Detroit pizza. It's not like... so it's different, right? I'm just saying because I like pizza. Obviously, I like pizza.
Is it deep dish or...
It's not deep dish. It's not Chicago deep dish. But it is thick.
Okay.
And it's not thin crust. Right? So it's just a different style of pizza. So you need to at least have that. And that you can get at the airport. I don't recommend it because it's not as good. Because I've eaten at pretty much every place in the Detroit airport because there's not that many. There's a McDonald's. There's a sandwich shop. There's one sit-down place, I think. And that's it. I mean, why this is happening in Detroit, I have no idea. Because that airport is not suited for 20,000 people descending upon it.
Look, I don't know how suited Detroit airport is, but I can guarantee you that it's highly unlikely that it's less suited than Valencia.
Okay. So it's probably comparable to Valencia. I have not flown into Valencia.
The next one, the one in Amsterdam. Amsterdam is like one of the biggest, if not the biggest hub in Europe, right, airport-wise. So
that would make sense. That would be like a Chicago or a Dallas to me, or a New York.
Exactly.
So that's, yeah. Okay. Let's go. Wow, we almost went an hour anyway. So anyway, we won't be back next Friday. We'll be back the Friday after that. But be looking on the Wednesday after KubeCon for Victor's take on everything that he saw at KubeCon. Because you will see things at KubeCon, just not sessions or keynotes.
Yeah, I will see the keynote.
Oh, you are?
And I will almost... I will... So I will certainly... on the first couple of days, I have talks and, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Those pre-conference days stuff going on. I'll be going to those for sure. Now, once the KubeCon starts, that's when the mayhem starts. Nobody knows what's going on, right?
It's the booth.
But I will go to sessions at least Sunday, Monday, Tuesday for sure.
Right. The pre-KubeCon. Because you're doing something at Docs, DOKS, the data on Kubernetes.
Yeah, data on Kubernetes, Knative rejects, and then KubeCon itself. Right. Oh, and application delivery something.
Oh.
5.
Okay. Did you add one more? Thought it was just 4. Oh, well.
No, 5. Yeah, the 5th one got scheduled day before yesterday.
Okay. So you're going to be busy, which is the other reason. Because by Friday comes around, you'll be ready for an hour just to go sit in a corner and cry. Or sleep until 3.
Something like that, yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks everybody for being here with us live. We'll see you again here in 2 weeks. And thanks for all your support. And everybody have a great rest of your week. And if you're going to KubeCon, be sure to look up Victor. Because he'll be around.
Me.
And do you know what your booth number is?
Who knows that?
Who knows?
Come on.
Okay. Look it up. You'll find it. So
and if you find out what your booth number is, nobody understands how that numbering works.
Correct. And by the way, he won't look like this. Well, he may. It depends on what time of day you find him. So,
actually, my daughter is trying to convince me that there is a party, again, similar story. There is a party, kind of Stranger Things type of stuff. She's trying to convince me to pack a costume for that. So I might be whatever is the name of the police guy. Hopper.
Oh. Right. Yeah. Now I'm wishing I was going, but I'm also glad I'm not. I'll leave it at that. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you back here in 2 weeks.